My mom called while I was driving my 6-year-old to the airport and told me not to come to Thanksgiving because my daughter was embarrassing. We were on the freeway. Hazel heard everything. That was a year ago. And when my family saw us again at my wedding, their faces went completely pale. Because I didn't just move on. I replaced them. Let me take you back. It was the day before Thanksgiving. Hazel sat in the back seat, kicking her sneakers against the car seat, humming to herself, a stuffed fox tucked under her arm like it had VIP access to the holiday. She had made little paper place cards at school, our names written in wobbly marker beside turkeys that looked like they had survived a natural disaster. She was so proud of them. "Do you think Miles will play with me this time?" she asked. Miles was my sister Heather's son, 7 years old, already an expert at ignoring Hazel like she was background noise. "I'm sure he will," I lied gently. "And Savannah is gonna show me her new Barbie," she added, hopeful. Savannah was 9 and had the permanent expression of someone judging a cooking competition. Hazel kept saying, "Grandma's house," like it was Disneyland. I kept hopping maybe this year everyone would act like decent human beings for 4 hours. Then my phone rang. "Mom." I answered on speaker because I was driving. "Hey, we're on the way." "Lindsay," she cut in, voice tight and careful. "We've been talking and we think it's best if you don't come this year." I laughed a little confused. "What?" "Your daughter is embarrassing. We don't want her here. Heather needs a drama-free holiday." My brain went silent, like someone had unplugged it. I pulled onto the shoulder, hazards blinking. From the back seat, a small voice. "Mom." Hazel heard. I grabbed the phone off speaker so fast my hands shook. "Mom, I'm driving. Hazel is in the car. What are you talking about?" "You heard me," she said, her voice losing its fake softness. "It's better this way." I looked in the rearview mirror. Hazel wasn't moving. She was hugging her fox tight, eyes wide, staring straight ahead. "Hold on," I told my mom. I leaned back. "Sweetheart, stay buckled. I'll be right outside." Cold air hit my face as I stepped onto the shoulder. Cars roared past. "Say it again," I demanded. "Heather doesn't want the stress. She has guests. We're not doing this." "So Hazel is what?" My voice was flat now. "Don't start." "I'm clarifying. You just called my 6-year-old embarrassing." "She'll get over it." Like she'd spilled juice on the carpet. "We already have flights. We're on the way." "And now you're not," she snapped. "It's better this way." She hung up. No apology, no hesitation. I stood there staring at my phone, waiting for it to ring again with a correction. It didn't. So I called Heather. She answered like I was interrupting something important. "What?" "Did you tell Mom not to let us come? Because of Hazel?" A sigh. "Lindsay, I have people coming." "People?" "Chad has clients," she added, as if that made it noble. "You didn't want questions," I asked quietly. "I don't want a scene." "My child exists, that's the scene." "This is why nobody can deal with you," she said. "You make everything dramatic." I didn't argue. "Okay," I said calmly and hung up. When I got back in the car, Hazel looked at my face like she was searching for a verdict. "They don't want me," she said before I could speak. My throat burned. I wanted to scream, to cry, to turn the car into a time machine. "Don't lie," she whispered. "I heard Grandma." I stared at the blinking hazards, bright and useless. And something inside me locked into place. I turned the car around. We went to an ice cream shop because I didn't know what else to do with a broken heart and a child who still believed in grandparents. "2 scoops," I told her. "Sprinkles, too." She barely touched it. At the table next to us sat an older couple, their daughter, and a little girl Hazel's age. Easy laughter. No one earning their seat. The older woman leaned over gently. "Are you okay?" I tried to say yes. Instead, I broke. Not loudly, just enough. They invited us to sit with them. Their granddaughter Ava took Hazel's hand, and led her to the play corner like it was the most natural thing in the world. The woman's name was Carol, her husband was Arthur, their daughter was Rebecca. By the end of that hour, they knew more about my life than my own parents had ever cared to hear. When Carol said, "Come to our Thanksgiving tomorrow," it didn't feel like pity. It felt like a door opening. We went. Their house smelled like warmth, butter, cinnamon, turkey, safety. Arthur opened the door smiling, like we belonged. Hazel and Ava disappeared into a room full of toys. Carol handed me a drink and said, "Your family today." And for the first time in years, I believed it. That night I saw a Facebook photo. My parents, Heather, her perfect little family. Caption, "Nothing like time with the grandkids." No mention of Hazel. No mention of me. Just clean erasure. Something in me went still. Not sad. Done. From that day forward, Carol and Arthur became our Sundays. Rebecca became my sister in the way that actually counts. Hazel's drawings filled their fridge. A kid cup stayed in their cabinet. One day Hazel ran into Carol's arms and shouted, "Grandma Carol." Carol didn't hesitate. "There's my girl," she said. I updated my legal documents the next week. Guardianship, emergency contacts, medical rights. If anything happened to me, Hazel would go to Carol and Arthur. Not my parents. Not Heather. Signed, notarized, filed. Permanent. Then came Noah. Single dad, gentle eyes, not flashy, just steady. He treated Hazel like a person, not an accessory to me. A year passed. A quiet, solid, safe year. Then we were planning a wedding. That's when my mother called. "I hear you're getting married," she said carefully. "Yes." "Where is our invitation?" "You're not invited." Silence, then outrage. "We're your parents." "You called my child embarrassing and banned her from Thanksgiving," I said calmly. "You don't get front row seats to her life." "We're coming anyway," she said in a voicemail later, smug. So I hired security. Wedding day came. They showed up. I let them sit in the back, far from Hazel. I walked down the aisle on Arthur's arm. He stood when I entered. My biological father didn't. That told me everything. At the reception, I took the microphone. "A year ago," I said clearly, "I was told not to attend Thanksgiving because my daughter was embarrassing." Silence fell. That call didn't break us. It showed us where we actually belonged. I thanked Carol, Arthur, Rebecca. The room erupted. Then my mother stormed over, furious. "You humiliated us." "You humiliated a 6-year-old on the side of a freeway," I replied. "That's my granddaughter. You rejected her. We have rights." I held her gaze. "If anything happens to me, Hazel goes to Carol and Arthur. Legally, permanently. You are not listed anywhere that matters." She went pale. Security escorted them out. I didn't watch them leave. I knelt in front of Hazel instead. "You okay?" She nodded. "Can I have cake now?" "Yes," I laughed. "Extra frosting." And I went back to my wedding. Back to my husband. Back to my real family. The next morning, I deleted angry messages without reading them. One text stayed. From my Aunt Susan. "I'm proud of you. Protect Hazel. I should have spoken up years ago. I'm sorry." I wrote back, "Thank you." And for the first time in my life, I wasn't waiting for my parents to change. I wasn't trying to be smaller to fit inside someone else's comfort. I was free. Free to build a family that chose us back. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear that real family is built with love, not obligation. Like, comment, and subscribe for more stories about choosing the people who truly choose you. The quiet after the wedding didn't last. People like my mother don't disappear when they lose. They regroup. 3 weeks after the honeymoon, I got a certified letter. Return address, a law office in my parents' town. I stood at the kitchen counter staring at it while Hazel colored at the table and Noah made coffee. My hands were steady, which surprised me. I opened it. Petition for grandparent visitation. I actually laughed. Noah looked up. Bad. Desperate, I said, handing it to him. They were claiming I was emotionally unstable, that I had alienated Hazel from loving grandparents, that I was acting out of spite. Spite. Because I didn't want my child called embarrassing. Classic. For one brief second, old panic flickered in my chest. The little girl version of me that still feared getting in trouble. Then adult me stepped forward. Okay, I said calmly. We do this the right way. I hired a lawyer. Not a cousin's friend, not someone cheap. A specialist. She listened quietly as I told the whole story, from the freeway to the wedding. Then she asked one question. Do you have proof? I slid my phone across the desk. Saved voicemails. Screenshots. Witnesses from the wedding. Legal guardianship. Documents dated months before the ceremony. My therapist's records from the time I left Hazel's father, documenting why I had needed support back then and what I didn't receive. My lawyer leaned back, impressed. This, she said, tapping the folder, is not a visitation case. This is a self-destruction case for them. Apparently, in our state, grandparents don't automatically get rights. They have to prove an existing, healthy relationship with the child, and that contact is in the child's best interest. They hadn't seen Hazel in a year. They had rejected her. They had witnesses. And they had picked a legal fight with a mother who now had documentation, stability, and a protective streak sharpened into steel. Court day came. My parents avoided looking at me in the hallway. Heather sat beside them, whispering like this was still high school politics. When we entered the courtroom, I felt calm. Not angry. Certain. Their lawyer spoke first. Words like misunderstanding, family conflict, loving grandparents kept away. Then my lawyer stood. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. She played the voicemail. My mother's voice filled the courtroom. Your daughter is embarrassing. We don't want her here. Silence. Then she presented the guardianship paperwork, dated before the wedding, before any retaliation they were claiming. Then she called Carol. Carol walked to the stand, steady, kind, composed. She described Sunday dinners, school pickups, bedtime stories, the day Hazel had the flu and wanted Grandma Carol to sit beside her. Then she said the line that ended it. Love is shown by who shows up. We showed up, they didn't. The judge looked at my parents for a long moment. Then he ruled. Petition denied. He added something extra, almost like a warning. Children are not emotional property. Access is earned through consistent care, not biological entitlement. My mother's face crumpled, not with sadness, with humiliation. Outside the courthouse, she tried one last time. You've poisoned her against us. I looked at her, really looked. No, I said quietly. Your actions did that. I just stopped covering for you. She had no response to that. Because there wasn't one. After that, the calls stopped. The letters stopped. Even the flying monkeys, distant relatives who used to guilt text me, went quiet. A public court record has a way of shutting people up. Life settled. Peacefully. Hazel stopped asking about the grandparents who didn't want her. Kids don't chase doors that stay closed when other doors open wide. Noah officially adopted Hazel the following year. Not because she needed a father to be whole, but because she wanted his last name. At the courthouse, she signed her name carefully, tongue peeking out in concentration. When the judge said, "Congratulations, family," Hazel grinned so hard her cheeks hurt. Carol cried. Arthur pretended not to. Rebecca squeezed my hand. And I realized something. The freeway call had felt like the worst moment of my life. But it was actually the moment the right people had room to step in. Years later, Hazel would barely remember my parents. But she would remember Sunday dinners, school plays with 3 grandparents cheering, a dad who showed up, an aunt who never made her feel like too much, and a mom who chose her. Every single time. Time has a way of proving whether boundaries were a phase or a foundation. Hours held. Years passed, not dramatically, not with big cinematic moments, but with the quiet consistency that actually builds a childhood. Hazel grew. She lost the stuffed fox somewhere around age 9, but never stopped sleeping with a quilt Carol made her. She started calling Arthur when her math homework got tricky because Grandpa explains it without making me feel dumb. Noah never tried to replace anyone. He just showed up. Soccer games, science fairs, late-night fevers, the ordinary heroics that make a parent real. Rebecca became Aunt Becca, officially the day Hazel introduced her that way at school without asking permission first. Our house was loud, messy, full, and safe. Every now and then, a card would arrive from my parents. No return address beyond a printed label. No apology inside. Just generic holiday wishes signed, Love, Mom, and Dad, like nothing had ever happened. I kept them in a box. Not for Hazel. For evidence. Because forgiveness and access are not the same thing. When Hazel turned 12, something shifted. She asked about them. Not with longing, with curiosity. The way kids ask about old teachers or cities they used to live in. Why didn't they like me? She asked one evening while we were washing dishes together. I dried my hands and leaned against the counter. They didn't know how to love people unless those people were easy for them, I said carefully. And you've never been small enough to fit into someone else's comfort zone. She considered that. That sounds like their problem. I smiled. Exactly. She nodded, satisfied, and went back to telling me about a school project. No wound reopened. No identity crisis. Just information filed and processed. That's when I knew we had broken the cycle. When Hazel was 15, my father had a health scare. A heart attack. Minor, but enough to make extended relatives start dialing numbers they hadn't used in years. My aunt called. Your mom keeps saying she wishes things were different, she said gently. I'm sure she does, I replied. She misses Hazel. I didn't react to the bait. Missing someone and being safe for them are not the same, I said. A pause. I know, my aunt admitted quietly. I sent flowers to the hospital. Signed, wishing you recovery. Not love. Not from Hazel. Just polite distance. My mother called after he got home. Her voice sounded smaller than I remembered. Could we see her, just once? I thought about the freeway, about the ice cream shop, about a 6-year-old hugging a stuffed fox like armor. No, I said calmly. She's not an emotional repair project. She cried. I didn't. Because boundaries without follow-through are just suggestions. After that, the attempts stopped for good. Life moved forward the way it does when you're not constantly dragged backward. Hazel graduated high school with Carol and Arthur in the front row, arguing over who got to hold the bouquet she threw into the stands as a joke. Noah cried openly. Rebecca screamed like Hazel had just won an Olympic medal. I watched my daughter cross that stage with her shoulders back, completely unafraid to take up space. And I thought, this is what breaking a cycle looks like. Not dramatic speeches. Not revenge. Just a child who never learned to make herself smaller for love. Years later, at Hazel's college send-off dinner, she raised a glass. To the people who chose me, she said simply. Carol teared up. Arthur cleared his throat loudly. Noah kissed the top of her head. Rebecca clinked her glass against mine. And me. I just sat there, heart full, knowing the most powerful thing I ever did as a mother wasn't fighting. It was walking away and building better. Some people lose access to you because they never learned how to value you. That's not cruelty. That's protection. And sometimes the family you lose makes space for the one you were meant to have all along. If this story meant something to you, share it with someone who needs the reminder that love should feel safe, not earned through suffering. Like, comment, and subscribe for more stories about strength, healing, and the families we choose.